Hello, third grade Cougars, it's Mrs. Bellatash, and I want to just go through some of our vocabulary very quickly. So, forces, push and pull are forces. They make things move, right? Gravity is a pulling force. It pulls things down to the center of the earth. Magnetic forces can both pull together or push away. When two magnetic forces pull together, they attract. When the magnetic force pushes away, we say it repels. And we know why that happens because the same poles repel and opposite poles attract. Now, if we want something to actually move or not move, we need to have balanced forces. We have to have the equal force on both sides. So if I'm going to have this ball and it's sitting, right now I have balanced forces on it, right? Gravity's pulling down and I'm pushing back up with the equal force. If I wanted to have it on the table, you can't really see the table, but if I wanted to have it on the table, and right now it's balanced forces, but if I give it a push and it starts to move, then it is an unbalanced force. There's more force on one side of the ball than the other. Today, what I want us to do is to look at some different systems that are moving and see if we can make a prediction about how those systems will move. Okay, Mrs. Dibie's class, I want you to get your car out and I want you to make a little ramp. I have some cardboard and I have a block. You don't have to use a block. You could use a book on its side, but we want to make a little ramp so that we can have our car roll down the ramp, okay? So I'm gonna put my car on the ramp and I'm gonna see what happens. We had unbalanced forces. When the car went down the ramp, gravity pulled it down. Now I want to think about making a prediction. So one of the things when we look at science, when we look at physics, we look at how things move and then we make a prediction for the future. So if I have my car roll down the ramp, should I predict that it will go down the ramp or should I ever predict that it goes up the ramp? Unless I push it, gravity is going to pull it down the ramp. I can make that as a prediction. It's part of it. Okay, now I want to see if I can make some predictions about how my car is going to roll. I'm going to put it at the top of the ramp and I'm going to let it go down. Okay, mine went all the way up to my tripod and it stopped. So my car rolled down the ramp and it went 5 feet before it stopped. Now, if I did this several times and it went 5 feet every single time, would I ever predict that it would go 20 feet? Probably not, because I didn't see that pattern. I want you to take out this paper cup and I want us to see, how does this cup move? I'm going to give the paper cup just a little push. Do you notice something about the paper cup? It seems to be traveling in a circle instead of a straight line. So I'm going to ask you to make a prediction. If I roll this cup down the ramp, which direction will the cup roll? Let's watch. Okay, the cup rolled towards the smaller end of the cup. I want to see if I can figure out where to put the cup so it goes underneath the ramp. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to test this one. Okay, the problem was it ran into the block. So I need to find a spot where it will go under the ramp
without running into the block.
So after doing this a few times, I'm making a prediction that this is a good spot. And there it goes. I'm going to let you get out 2 cups. So they're both the same size. And we know that from our previous experience that they roll in a circle. I want you to use these 2 cups together as a system and get your cups to roll in a straight line. I will give you a hint. I will allow you to use some tape. I used my 2 cups and I connected them with some tape, and I used 2 cups that individually turn in circles. But when I connect them into a system, I predict that they will roll in a straight line. Success! Okay, I had a lot of fun playing with cups and straws and wheel and axle systems. It's awesome. Please take out your science notebook and please take out these 2 sheets. Response sheet A, investigation 2, it looks like this. And response sheet B, investigation 2, it looks like this. So trim them, and then you're gonna turn to the next available page in your science notebook, and you're going to glue these into your science notebook. Boys and girls, I noticed that I had forgotten to number some of my pages. So I went back and numbered my pages, and my pages right now, I'm on page 8 and 9. It's just really good to make sure that we don't leave blank pages in our science notebook, okay? So I put the date, I'm doing it on September 17th. That's not the date you're doing it. And I have these 2 pages glued into the science notebook. Okay, so response sheet A. A student in another class invented a game. I love games. In order to win the game, you have to pick 3 objects and roll each one off the ramp in a different place. First, you have to roll an object into the area marked 1. You see it on the page? Then roll a second object into the area marked 2, okay? Finally, roll a third object into the area marked 3. You must let go of all objects in the place marked start position, okay? So now, on the next page, it says, now it's your turn to play the game. Look at the objects at the bottom of the page. On a blank notebook page, answer these questions. Which objects would you choose to land at position 1? Explain why those objects would work. So let's look at that. Let's take a look at the objects. Which ones do you think will work at position 1? So did you choose some objects that would end up at position 1? I chose the funnel. I think that would work. I also chose the mallet. I think it's called a mallet that you would use on a xylophone, because there's a large circumference opening and a small circumference opening, a large end and a small end. Both of those would curve, and I could choose which side would have the large size and the small size. So I chose that for number 1. Number 2, which objects could you choose to land at position 2? For position 2, which is straight at the bottom of the ramp, I chose the pencil, and I chose this. Now you might say, Mrs. Belatash, are you crazy? But you notice that this circumference is pretty much the same as the bottom. I think it will roll in a straight line. I think it will do that. Okay, let's take a look at question 3. Choose one object to land at position 3. Explain how you will use that object to land in position 3. So boys and girls, I would pick either the ones from 1. You could use that for position 3. You just turn it so that the small opening is on the other side. I have one object that I'm not sure about, and it's this vase. This is going to be a wobbly structure. I'm not exactly sure how it would move. And the same thing with the potato. I feel it's just going to be wobbly. Could go down, could curve. Boys and girls, you're welcome to continue playing with those discs and wheel systems and see if you can invent some interesting ways for the wheel and axle system to move. Next week, we're going to make twirly birds and do an investigation using those. See you next week, guys. Bye.